Thank you, Chair. The committee discussed the new work plan in light of the changes to the number of frequency of meetings we're going to be holding bi-monthly, and in order to reduce the workload of the teams, Sarah and I have come up with a revised work plan, which will now, in future going forward, combine some of the reports into one report. For example, finance and capital will be one report, and the apprenticeship levy items will be dealt as part of as an appendix on that. During the discussion on the action points was on workforce, the issue around workforce as to where that particular piece of scrutiny sat, and I think we've already agreed that workforce will be sitting with the Quality and Safety Committee, but with any performance issues relating to workforce being picked up as part of the performance report. In terms of the capital, the committee received the finance and capital report in its new format, which wasn't its usual 10 or 15 pages, but 5 to 6 slides with some narrative around that. Overall, the new format was received a warm reception, although there were some requests for additional information, which in future we will provide as an appendix to that new format. Overall, I'm pleased to report that the financial position of the trust remains positive, with a surplus of around 79,000 at the last report. As a trust, we are on plan to break even at the year end. The cash position of this organisation still remains very strong at 22 million. The trust will spend its allocation of 3.1 million of its capital expenditure, although there is still a large sum of £2 million outstanding for the next few months to be spent, but there are plans for this to happen. But this was mainly due to the late receipt of funding. The committee considered this to be low risk. COVID-19 costs are now a fixed maximum budget. Therefore, it's important for us as an organisation to keep a close eye on our COVID-19 expenditure going forward. On CIPs for the current year, we're on plan, which is 450,000. I think to date we've managed to get 200,000, but the work is going on to achieve the 450 in the next few months. CIPs going forward for 21-22 are slightly delayed in development due to COVID-19, and if we don't get on top of those, they are likely to have an impact on our progress going forward in the financial year 21-22. CIPs for 21-22, the areas for consideration at the moment are agency costs, length of stay reduction, and any lessons we've learned from COVID-19 during the year, for example, travelling and printing, and where we can go with that. The overall STP financial forecast is still planned to be a deficit of 23 million, and that still stands to date, unless Sarah has an update on that. The committee received the integrated performance report. The committee were informed that waiting times are in a holding position at the moment and are not likely to improve going forward, and I think the board can appreciate that because of the challenges that our teams are facing with COVID-19. So in terms of the trust performance dashboard, 2 measures moved to red: the proportion of delayed transfers of care, but that was due to a change in the methodology in how we measure delayed transfers of care, and Steve can give us more detail on that if the board requires it so. The other issue was on the community store equipment response, which is showing a downward trend in terms of how we respond within 7 days at 88.6% against a target of 95%. And I believe a recovery plan is in place to address this issue. On estates, the committee were informed that the team are moving quite rapidly on capital projects, and that the work at Bishop's Castle regarding the generator is underway and all planned maintenance is taking place. There were no new additional risks identified to the board assurance framework, Chair, and I'm open to any questions or Sarah. So thank you.
Sorry, I'd muted myself. Harmesh, thank you. Very comprehensive overview. It looks like there's maybe no questions at this point. I may come to Ros, to see if you want to say anything further on Appendix 1, the performance report, anything there that you wish to highlight for us, again assuming we've all seen it.
There's only one update or thing that I would point to with regard to the dashboards that have been made available. So a little bit like David was saying about the COVID vaccines, that the minute you write something or provide something, it's out of date. I think essentially the dashboards that are there, whilst more up to date than the RPC reviewed, they are still telling the same story. The only thing that isn't in line with what Steve said earlier is the number of staff that are redeployed showed on those dashboards. I think just to refer to the fact that Steve said we're around 70 staff doing different things at the moment, and the dashboard says 4. So just if anybody was just a bit curious about the mismatch there, it's just catch up for the dashboards. So that's it, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, on a similar theme, the numbers quoted in the dashboard around services partially partially stopped isn't up to date, because it needs to be updated in the same way as the staff redeployment, but that's in hand. So again, just not so make sure we don't mislead anyone with this.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification, David. On that note, I think accept that report. Thank you. Sarah, anything to add on the finance report?
Nuala, Mike's put his hand up.
Oh, so sorry, Mike, I didn't see you there. Mike, apologies.
Thanks, Nuala. So I think I'm having a time lag due to my connection. I just wanted to acknowledge Hamish's excellent ongoing chairship of the committee, really, in these challenging times, and to give the feedback that it was another excellent virtual meeting.
You're too kind, Mike. Thank you.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll pass that tenor on later on to
you.
Thank you. No, and it's a nice acknowledgement. The chairing of these committees during these moments is a challenge. So, my thanks and congratulations to Harmesh and Peter and other Peter for, all your work in chairing committees. Much appreciated.
Yeah, if I can just say, I'm only good as my team, and I have a great team around me. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Right, thanks.
It was 20, however, Hamish.
20 rupees.
Sarah, on the finance report.
Yes, I think Hamish has summed it up nicely. So we're stable near position. Just to pick up our 21-22 position and the fact that nationally planning suspended, and we're still continuing to work on that locally. But our CIP development, as Hamish pointed out, is behind where we would expect it to be at this point in the year. However, we have now got 2 sessions booked for later this month, and Steve's involved in the clinical and operational session. There's lots of pre-work going on before that. So we are starting to gather a little pace, and we'll report that through committee and board in due course.
Thank you, Sarah. Accept that report. And Robert, the estates report.
Thank you, Chair. We continue, particularly around assurance, to concentrate on the compliance, working very closely with new health and safety manager, who is truly excellent. And obviously that feeds through the audit committee. On the last report, there was a question around assurance which related to the Oswestry water compliance, which we've traced back, and that is actually a building risk which is primarily with the GPs. It says it's a shared building, and that's around the poor cleaning of water outlets. There was only one of those identified in the SCHT area, and we picked that up, so we expect that to drop off, and we don't expect it to continue. As has been mentioned, capital spend is proceeding at rate, and obviously we've benefited from the STP slippage. We're making good progress around the forward plan for 21-22, though we do know that we are going to have some probable challenges around the amount of capital available. On specific works, Bishop's Castle generator is actually in place now. The Bridge North washers enabling works is done. We're now into the water testing regime with that area. The Bridge North works is on site, and actually Sarah and I have agreed on the MPFT SEHT 2021 SLA contract, and we're making really, really good progress with sorting out the 21-22 onwards progress. We do also notice that the critical ventilation looking forward is going to be probably a really big capital requirement into the future. That pretty covers it, Chair.
Thank you, Robert. Again, very comprehensive. Peter Phillips.
Yes, Robert, just two very quick questions. One is the on Legionella. You quite rightly and properly thoroughly refer to that each time in our local hospitals. Just to put it in perspective, it sounds like, am I right in assuming it's a minor issue for us? We're just checking as we should do.
Yeah, actually, our water safety and our relationship with IPC is truly excellent. So actually, we're really good at it. So you can be assured that we have high levels of safety.
Lovely, thank you for that. And the other one was just very quickly, Stoke Hospital dispensary. I mean, I know that's an ongoing thing. I imagine that's really under the control of the hospital rather than yourselves.
Well, that's Ministry of Justice. So we've raised questions, and that's principally come from Steve, which is quite right, about whether we should be spending into that. We've not finally made a decision on that.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Nuala.
Thank you, Peter. If there's no more comments or questions, accept that report as well with our thanks.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Nuala, one late one from myself.
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, when are we expecting a decision with the Stoke, Heath, Robert?
Probably at the next capital meeting.
Which is? 3
weeks away.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
It's only because I remember that last year there's something about temperatures within the unit there. I was thinking, well, we've got summer coming up again. You know, will we be in place to take decisions that we need to in time for?
We do have some complexities around actually trying to work out whether we can transfer capital to the MOJ anyway, and then in any case that they would have to undertake the works. We wouldn't be able to undertake works in their space. Steve's coming.
Steve is coming in, I guess, with some clarification.
Just on that point, because obviously the Ministry of Justice, the Governor, John, has also agreed to push that to the top of their capital priority scheme. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful, Steve. Thank you. That's reassuring. So I'm sure we'll get an update at a future meeting. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for that. So I'll move us on then to governance report and reports considered by Audit Committee. If I come to you first, Peter.
Yep, thank you very much, Nuala. Just to say, I mean, you've got the reports there. There are two of them. There's governance and the audit committee report. Key issues there are, first of all, looking at the BAF and the corporate risk register. As you remember, a lot of work has been done on those, led by Louise Brereton and Stanley, and now, of course, Michael W.G. coming in on it. And one thing we have done is on the corporate risk register is demote risks which have met their target and are just sitting in the register. We demote them to other registers lower down, but that doesn't mean we lose sight of them. So that's all under control, and good to see us doing a bit of housekeeping there. On the external and internal audits, just to remind colleagues, although we have said it before, we are going out to tender on both of these for the year 2021-22 and onwards. However, the year-end 21 will still be covered by Grant Thornton, no matter what the outcome is of the tender. So just to reassure you on that. And lastly, we always look quite properly at anti-fraud and security reports. If you remember, Alan Gordon came in and took over from Terry Feltus on a part-time basis for the anti-fraud and is doing a really good job. He's got a very strong background. I'm pleased with how that's going. And Terry is still with us on a 12-month contract before retiring totally, to handling the security management side, and that seems to be in good order. That's all I have to say. Is Michael with us? Am I handing over to him?
Michael W.G. is.
Oh yes, there he is. See you, Michael, in the middle of the screen. Michael.
Hello. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that summary. The risk registers can be taken as read and scrutinised at committee quite carefully.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Looks like there's no further comments or questions. Michael, do you want to add anything to the board assurance framework?
Again, nothing in great detail, just to touch on, there was a request to review the financial sustainability BAF risk. The report does say it would be presented here. It's a typo. It means it's coming back to the audit committee at its next meeting. So we're still working through that.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions for Michael on that, and also the corporate risk register? Michael, nothing to add?
No, nothing further.
Right, okay, great. That sounds as though we accept all of those reports with our thanks. Thank you very much, very thorough. We're now on to questions or comments from members of the public. I'm not aware of any that have been submitted. Louise?
No, none received, no. None
received, okay, that's fine. Any other business? I'm trying, there was an item of other business, but I think that might be for the next meeting. David?
Yeah, no, Steve, I think you've added a couple of reports, haven't you? We've gone in under any
That's
other business.
Right.
You may have covered them. You may have covered them already, I think, in your earlier comments around the CQC feedback and the what's it called, the IPC framework. We did look at our part 2 meeting, so I think this is simply to put it in the public domain. But Steve, was there anything you wanted to say on those two?
Yeah, nothing to add. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we did receive those separate reports. Thank you. Harmesh?
Thank you, Chair. I think this was a moment for us to come in, wasn't it, Chair? Because Ros and David are on their last meeting in public, and for us to acknowledge our thanks to them. So if we can take this opportunity at this moment, I think it'd be the ideal moment. So, Ros, I think, well, what can we say? You know, we're going to truly miss you. You know, you've been a great inspirational leader for our organisation. Your leadership, your vision has set us on a path of great transformational change. And, you know, these qualities will be greatly missed by us all. Your knowledge and skill in finance, and especially across the wider sector, and the support you have provided not only to me at the R&P committee, but also to the board. And you're going to leave a huge vacuum, which is going to be hard to fill, but I'm sure Sarah has got the shoes to step into that. So thank you for all your hard work during these years, Ros. David, well, what can we say? You truly have inspired, you know, I have been inspired by your personal commitment to making a difference to our organisation on these challenging times, especially during COVID-19. I think you were appointed on a different remit, but you sort of risen to the challenge of COVID-19 in such a way that truly shows your leadership skills and how well they've come out. You've helped us make us as an organisation and make good progress in making our health and care systems work together as a system. And I think your legacy will live on. Your influence and impact has been enormous, and you have provided a steady hand, which has enabled and empowered all our staff and our organisation to make a real difference. And we thank you for that. I'm grateful for all your hard work and commitment and energy that you've brought to Shropcom. And as there's an old Buddhist saying, every end has a new beginning. So both of you, I wish you well in your new beginnings. So thank you, Chair.
Beautifully put, Harmesh. Thank you so much. And yes, I can see applause coming around.
I think all I'd say, Harmesh, is quote you earlier. We're only as good as the team we have around us. So thank you to everybody.
And we haven't lost you yet, either of you. There's still a lot of work to be done between now and the beginning of April. So we'll definitely have more time to reflect on the contributions that you've made. But Harmesh, I don't think any of us could put it better than you've done on behalf of the board. I just want to endorse those sentiments. Thank you very much. And on that note, well, we've come to reflections of the meeting. I'm open to all your comments on that. Personally, I found at the beginning the staff and patient story really inspirational. That's exactly the kind of thing that we need. I know we focus sometimes when things go wrong, and that's also important that we know. And I loved the fact that Katie was comfortable to put her challenges to us as a board. I felt it said a lot about her that she had the confidence to do that, but actually I think it said something about our board as well, that she knew that she could do that and it would be well received. So for me that was, you know, really important message. So yeah, those were my reflections, and I thank you all for your contributions. A really good meeting. We've got a very full afternoon coming up, where we'll have some more debate and discussions. So I'm looking forward to that. Peter.
It was just one thing to add, just to reflect back about what you said about Katie. I know we have freedom to speak up guardians, which we use for a different purpose. But then again, it's part of our culture within our organisation that people feel that they are empowered to voice concern. And I again applaud her. I say her courage, but you know, it's the right thing to do. So I appreciate that.
No, thank you for that, Peter. And as I said, it said a lot about her, but I also agree with you. It said a lot about the culture of the organisation, so we could take some satisfaction from that. Okay, on that very positive note, we've gained actually a bit of time back, surprisingly, so we can have an extended lunch. There's some discrepancy in the papers, but our next meeting will start at 1 and not 1:30.